So this video is the last in section 6 about design, testing and IDEs. This is chapter 4, which is IDEs, Integrated Development Environments. An integrated development environment provides a programmer with lots of tools to use when you're doing your programming. So an IDE is a piece of software that provides features to help a programmer to develop their program. Many IDEs have similar features, so we're going to look at some of the features that you can get with an IDE. This IDE here is the Integrated Development Environment for Visual Basic. So this is actually Microsoft Visual Studio, and it's when we've created a Visual Basic program. So depending on which language you use, you get different kind of features and different appearances, but in general, you get a lot of the same kind of windows in here. So this is our runtime environment. This allows us to run program in a real-time condition. So in other words, we can code and press start and run it straight away. What it'll do is it'll compile and run as soon as the compilation is completed. We've got an output window. So the output window can see any outputs that have come in from this program. So anything that's printed, any results of calculations will be shown there. You often get a code editor. A lot of them have line numbers in, so you can kind of see which line you might have made a mistake on. They have kind of auto indentation, so things automatically indent to show you where the program flow is going. You have color coded variables and labels and text names and kind of things like that, so you can see that you're typing things correctly. In this particular one, it has autocorrect, so as you start typing a word, it kind of completes it for you. It's got something called the breakpoint, which you can stick in to say, like, right, that's where I'm up to. That's where I know that something might go wrong, so it's like labeling it for later on. You have error diagnostics. So if you do try and run it and there's a mistake, error diagnostics will help you to find that error. You've also got things like on this particular one, if you put objects in, if you create a form, something visual or graphic, you can see all the different properties for each object. For example, a text box, you might be able to see what size it is, how many letters you're allowed to put in, any validation. You've also got an Explorer window, which allows you to go through your files and look for any other files that you might want to connect to it. At the bottom right hand corner, we can see the line and character details. So it tells you what line number you're on and which character you've actually selected as well. An IDE that you will almost certainly be familiar with is the Python IDLE. Now this stands for Integrated Development and Learning Environments, which is where the L comes from. But Python is basically just using a normal IDE. You can use things like PyCharm, which has got loads of extra features in, but even the basic Python IDLE has got some features that help us. For example, you can see that the code editor has got color coding, such as import and DEF. They've changed to orange. Functions change to blue automatically, and any strings change to green. Straight away, this helps us because you can see if you've got any errors, and you can make sure that you've ended your strings at the right time and so on. You can also see a comment, which is in red, which helps us to give a little bit more information about our code. You've got things like auto indentation. So every time you stick a comma in, a colon, and press enter, it will automatically indent the code to the correct position. So there's a number of different features of an IDE. First one is obviously the code editor. So the best thing about a code editor is it often has line numbering, which means you can find where you've made a mistake. It's also got auto color coding for certain things, like in Python, strings, functions, and loops. You've also got autocorrect, auto indentation, and autocomplete. So different IDEs have different things, where if you start typing it and you make a slight mistake, it will automatically correct it for you. Auto indentation is when it moves the code into the right layout when you press enter. Also, autocomplete is as you start typing a word, it might automatically allow you to fill it in just by clicking on it. An Explorer window helps you navigate through all your files and folders. The output window shows the results of your program. You've got line number and character details, which is really helpful. Error diagnostics is useful for highlighting your errors and any improvements. Breakpoints allows you to trace your algorithm so you can see where it's starting, where it's ending your different program flow. And your runtime environment lets you run and test the program. We have a couple of common features which are present in pretty much every IDE. First one is that you can have different translators, so you can get the advantages of multiple different translators. That could be a compiler, could be an interpreter. Also, you've got auto documentation, so when you've finished your program, it will automatically create documentation that goes with it. It can extract certain features of a program, like the names of variables, subprograms, and comments, and it can store it all in a summary document of what the code does. You also have a graphical user interface, which helps you to design an interface graphically using drag and drop customizable objects. So you could stick in text boxes, drop down boxes, menus, scroll bars, all those kind of things are present in some of the IDEs. That's the end of our video on IDEs and the end of section 6.